What is up, Panthers fans? It feels impossible, but somehow it's already been 2 weeks since the 2023 NFL draft, and the Carolina Panthers selected their new franchise quarterback in Bryce Young. Today, I wanted to go through, look at that rookie class, let you know some of my thoughts, and I'm interested to know yours. So please leave a comment. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. It only takes you a second, and it really helps us out. So let's start at the top. Bryce Young, pick number one. You got to give it an A, right? You got to give it an A. I waffled back and forth a little bit between him and CJ Stroud. I liked what CJ Stroud did from the pocket. I felt like he could hit any part of the field with pinpoint accuracy. And I felt like he'd be a good fit in Frank Reich's offense. But the Carolina Panthers felt different, obviously. They threw every resource they had at trying to find the best quarterback in this draft class. And from the beginning to the end, the guy that stood out was Bryce Young. He's just different, man. And the more time goes on, the more I feel like the Panthers got this right. I feel like you drop Bryce Young in that offense, he's going to be able to make enough happen. The Panthers should have a solid running game. This could be a very good situation for a young quarterback with Frank Reich, Thomas Brown, Josh McCown all coming together to create something that Bryce Young can thrive in. So I'm really excited to see what that's going to look like. If not for the size, you're talking about a generational quarterback, man. We're looking at him the same way we look at Peyton Manning. This is an easy pick, a layup, a home run pick. There's no one arguing with anything about this pick if he wasn't 5'10". That's the only thing. So assuming his body can hold up, he's going to be a star in the NFL. I really feel that way. I have no doubt about it. I think, you hear the word processing with him a lot, decision making. He throws the ball with great accuracy, incredible touch. There are some throws, if you go back, I remember watching the 2021 SEC championship game against Georgia, and I remember just being blown away by some of the throws he was making with anticipation and touch. Perfect coverage. Defenders could do nothing about it because of how perfect the throw was. And then you talk about playmaking ability. You're talking about a guy who's Mahomes-esque. When the play breaks down, he excels. That's when his talent really shows and he becomes something super, super special. I remember saying before, it's like if Mahomes was big Mario and then he got hit by a bad guy and became little Mario. That little Mario is Bryce Young. He's just a smaller version of Mahomes, or at least that's how it feels when you watch him. We'll see if it translates to the NFL field. And, I understand why people have concerns about that. I mean, there's plenty of guys we've seen in college who were especially undersized guys who their game just didn't translate, no matter how good they were. So we'll see. But we know Bryce Young's going to prepare himself as well as anybody to be ready for game day. And we know he's going to take his job very seriously. He's going to be a great teammate, great leader. So I'm excited. We'll see what happens. Obviously, you give the Panthers an A on that pick. Let's look at pick 39, round 2. So you get Jonathan Mingo there. You get Bryce Young, a stud wide receiver to help him grow. I'm a fan of this pick. Honestly, I thought Jonathan Mingo would probably go a little later. But I know the Panthers were really intrigued by Jonathan Mingo. He came in on a 30 visit. Scott Vitterer said he was just a really cool guy. That's how he described him, quote unquote, a really cool guy. Mingo is a big body receiver. He's built a lot like A.J. Brown. He's got some eye-popping catches. If you go back and look at some of his highlights in college, he's a real physical runner after the catch. He's got a bigger body. He's real thick, kind of like DJ Moore was as a runner. He's not afraid of contact. This wide receiver class was filled with a lot of small, quick guys. Jonathan Mingo was not one of them, and I think that's one of the things that made him stand out through the draft process. I'm a big fan. I think he's going to certainly have a role here as a rookie. I think him and Marshall have an opportunity to be something special for the Panthers moving forward as far as a 1-2 wide receiver combo. Obviously, the Panthers brought in, Adam Thielen, DJ Chark. I think between that core of guys, then you throw in other guys like Damiere Byrd. We'll see if Shi Smith has a role. There's enough there for Bryce Young to work with. I'm excited to see how it all comes together. Obviously, there's no guy who's like a clear-cut star at the moment. Who knows? Somebody in that group could grow into that role. We'll see. I'm looking at you, Terrace Marshall. But at the moment, you don't have a star, but you got some solid guys that can work together and get the job done. Then we move to round 3, pick number 80. The Panthers traded up, I believe, 11 spots. They lost a 4th-round pick in order to move up and take DJ Johnson. Certainly the most controversial of the Panthers draft picks. Many in the mainstream media were not a fan of this pick. Felt like he was more of a 4th-round pick. I think that's the biggest knock on him, really, is people feel like he was overdrafted. But I get the sense that, A, the Panthers really liked him, and B, they had a hunch that somebody ahead of them was going to pick him. So I think that's the reason they felt the need to trade up and grab him before somebody else did. Some of the other knocks are his age. He is a little older. I think he's 24. So, you can't do anything about that. His age is what it is. And he also doesn't have a ton of great pass rushing skills. But I don't think that should worry Panthers fans because, A, he has great speed, athleticism, and burst. And I feel like the coaching staff feels like they can develop that into something. And I think also the Panthers don't necessarily need him to be a great pass rusher. They have guys on the defensive line already, especially opposite of him if he ends up, maybe not starting, but even finding his way onto the field opposite of Brian Burns. You don't need to get after the passer. You need to set the edge so Brian Burns can come around the backside and destroy the quarterback. And I think that's really all they're looking for with this guy, with this pick. I don't think they need him to come in and produce a bunch of sacks. I think they just need him to contain the edge so quarterbacks don't have anywhere to escape to. Because that Brian Burns, as quick as he is going to get around the corner fast enough, as long as you don't give that quarterback anywhere to run to. So I think that's the role they have envisioned for him. I don't think they necessarily are looking for him to be some, 10-sack edge rusher opposite of Brian Burns. I think they just need a guy who can come in, work well on the opposite end of Burns, and keep quarterbacks from escaping so Brian Burns can get there and finish him off, or Derek Brown can get there and finish him off. Let's look at round 4. Pick 114, Chandler Zavala out of NC State. If you don't know, he played alongside Ikem Ekwonu. They were good friends in college, and that friendship is going to continue with the Carolina Panthers. Obviously, the Panthers needed depth on the O-line anywhere they could get it. Chandler Zavala seems like a really good kid. He's a very physical run blocker. And obviously, as I just mentioned, he's going to get to play alongside his good friend Ikem Ekwonu, so that's going to make the transition easy for him. And then the Panthers also added Cam Irving the other day. Cam Irving was a very good mentor for Ikem Ekwonu last year, and now he's going to come in and be a mentor for Chandler Zavala as well. And it also gives the Panthers good depth along the offensive line, which, like I said, they were needing. All right, so let's look at round 5, Jamie Robinson. First of all, I feel like this was good value. You're getting a guy who's an absolute dog. He plays as hard as anyone. He's very competitive, very physical. So at the very least, you're bringing some physicality to your defense. I think in Ivero's defense, there's going to be a lot of guys who are, I've always used the term chess pieces, where they do whatever they do, you want them to do their role to the best of their ability. And I think Robinson's going to be one of those guys who's going to have a defined role, and he's going to be able to do it at a high level with his competitiveness. He's drawn comparisons to Budda Baker, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, who the Panthers missed out on a few years ago. So you're going to guys similar to that, just very aggressive in the back end of your defense, who's going to make people pay when they don't keep their head on a swivel. So then you look at some undrafted guys that we can talk about. Probably the biggest one that stands out to me is Appalachian State running back Cam Peoples. The thing that comes to mind for me, is that he's just a good complement to what the Panthers already have at running back. So you have Miles Sanders, Chuba Hubbard, and Raheem Blackshear. Peoples brings something a little different. He's a bigger physical running back. Those guys are all quicker, smaller, speed, elusiveness type of guys. So I think he has the opportunity to come in and, again, find a defined role for him in which he can be the power back of the group. So I think he's going to have a real shot to make the roster. Another guy who stands out is Rashawn Wright, Oregon State corner, physical cornerback. He's held his own against very good competition. I forget which wide receiver from this class it was. I think it was Jordan Addison. There were clips going around of him really locking up Jordan Addison pretty well this year. So the Panthers are thin at corner. I'm not a big fan of the Panthers corner room at all, outside of J.C. Horn, obviously. So I would love to see a guy like this make a name for himself and make a push to make this roster. So we'll see what happens. I'm excited for him. And another guy to keep an eye on is Bumper Pool. First of all, one of the best names in the draft class. Second of all, the Panthers need depth at linebacker. And I think this is a type of guy who could come in and find a role as a backup linebacker in the NFL. He's got good instincts. He was an SEC standout. That's got to count for something, right? With all the NFL players that come out of the SEC. So, yeah, those are my thoughts, man. Let me know what you think. Any other undrafted rookies you have your eye on? What you think of the class as a whole? Yeah, man. Peace out. Keep pounding. Thanks for watching.